Hi guys, and welcome to 123 MyIT's video on how to build a CPU mining rig on a budget. Alright guys, so in a previous video I showed you how to build a brand new mining rig with new parts. Then I showed you how to build a budget mining rig with a mix of old and new parts. Now I'm going to show you how to build a mining rig with free parts and a cost of $0. Alright guys, so the rig that we're going to use today is an old HP Z800. Now, I was able to get two of these for free at no cost, and we're going to use the CPUs in these rigs to mine Monero or Electronium. Okay guys, so just a quick disclaimer. So if you have higher electricity costs, this is probably not an option for you. However, if you have access to cheap power, then this would be a really cheap and affordable way to get into CPU mining. CPU mining isn't as good as GPU mining. The power costs would outweigh the amount that you would make in profit per day. But if this stops this going into landfill and you have very cheap access or free access to power, why not give it a shot? So what are we looking for when we're looking for these older computers? We're looking for this Intel Xeon inside sticker. Now on these older machines were used for workstations. They were used for video processing. So they generally came with two really powerful CPUs. And we're going to use those CPUs for mining Monero. Other CPUs that you might be able to use, if you have an i7, that might also be acceptable. i9, that will also work. You can even use an i5 if they're powerful enough. However, again, if you've got free access to electricity, go for it. If not, then maybe look to a GPU option. Okay, so we're going to pop the side off and have a look what's inside. The first thing I've noticed here is it's 1110 power supply, so it's a really big power supply. So this could be quite helpful if we decide to add some GPUs in at a later stage. That way we could do CPU and GPU mining at the same time. Next thing that you'll notice here down the bottom, we've got these hard drives. So we've got multiple hard drives here. So we've got a Seagate one, and up top we've got a Hitachi one. So what we want to try and do is get rid of all these hard drives and extra things we're not going to need for the mining rig. So probably at some stage I'll just use one of these hard drives, not two. And that will save us some power. Also, if you wanted to, and you wanted to save more power, you could actually put in a SSD or a thumb drive with Windows installed on it and run those to make things a bit cheaper. Because remember guys, you're going to be using these 24 hours, so you want to try and reduce the amount of power that you're using. So I've had one or two people ask me how I get these computers so clean. Well, the answer is I use a vacuum. This is a hard drive that I've already cleaned. I use one of these vacuums, and on the end of the vacuum here you've got this little attachment there. So what you're going to do with the old computers, there you go, clean as anything now. Alright, so let's take a look at these covers. So there's all these sorts of covers and things that are on the HP. They're very well built. You know, it's good for airflow and all that sort of stuff. We're going to try and remove a lot of this stuff and get it out of the road so we can see what other hardware is in there. Also got this one down below here. Comes out like that. Okay, so what are we looking at here? So if we've got a couple of graphics cards here. Remember I mentioned at the beginning of the video that these rigs are actually used for video editing. So they've got a couple of Quattro 4000 cards in it, and they would have been really good in their day, but these days they're probably not so good for mining. So we're going to try and remove one of these for power, and we'll keep the other one for our video. If we pan up slightly here, you can see we've got our CPUs. So these are our Xeon CPUs. These are the two bits of hardware that we're going to use for the miner. Okay, so we're obviously going to leave those in there. And then above that, we've got this memory fans here. Some little clips there, and that comes right off as well. So we've got fans in here. What we want to try and do is reduce our power, so we'll remove as many fans and things that we can whilst trying to keep everything as cool as possible. Because we're going to have an open case, we might not need the fans so much because the heat will just kind of come out of the top of the case anyway. You can see we've got quite a lot of RAM, so these machines always came with a lot of memory. I think it's like maybe 16 or 12, and for this age of machine, that was really good at the time. You can try removing some of these. We might actually try removing some of these RAM sticks, maybe bring it down to like 8 GB or bring it down to like 4 GB or something like that, just so that we're not using power from those. They wouldn't use that much power anyway, but any power that you save is going to increase your return on investment. Next thing we're going to take a look at is the CD-ROM, DVD-ROM drive. We're just going to unplug this, pull this power out, and then we're done. So we're not going to use this, so why bother having it switched on, or why bother using the extra power when we don't need to? Okay, so we've plugged in our monitor and we've turned the rig on. We've also plugged in our Windows 10 USB key, and this is going to install Windows on that SATA hard drive. I always get the question, where do I get Windows 10? Well, if you head on over to the 123myit.com website, you can click on Store and then Software. And if you scroll down, you can click on any of the Windows 10 links here, and that will take you through to the Microsoft website, and you can buy Windows 10. Otherwise, if you want to download it, you can go to the search bar up the top and type in Windows 10 and then press enter. And then if you scroll down to where it says Windows 10 Media Creation Tool, and if you follow that video, that will show you how to download Windows 10. Here you can see here's our one drive. It's a 1 terabyte drive. We're just going to delete what's on there. If we don't, we want to reinstall Windows from fresh. We're going to hit next and install Windows. What you'll need to do, guys, for the HPs always use the key F9 to boot into a drive. So if you've got a USB drive you want to boot into, just press your F9 on startup, and that will allow you to boot into a USB key or a DVD-ROM or however you want to install Windows. Another thing I want to mention as well, guys, I get a lot of people say, why do you use Windows, why not use Linux? Look, I use Windows because I'm the most familiar with it. I find that the driver support for the equipment is a lot better, and also the overclocking tools are a lot better as well. This is pretty cool, guys. The rig is actually quite fast, so it actually installed Windows really fast, and it's just doing all the updates, and we'll be finished in a second. Okay, guys, so you've got Windows booted up. First thing you're going to need to do is install your drivers. So if you right click Start, go to Device Manager. Alright, all the drivers here seem to be okay, but we still need to install our graphics driver for our NVIDIA card, which was the Quattro 4000. It might auto-detect anyway and install it at a stage. You can see Windows 10 is pretty good at picking up all the drivers these days anyways. The other thing we want to take a look at in here is our processors. There you go, you can see we've got our Xeon processors there. They're running at 2.13 gigahertz, which isn't too bad. The other thing you're going to need to do, guys, as soon as you boot up, is go into your Windows settings and go into Update and Security. And you're going to want to run these updates. These updates will take ages to run, but if you don't run them, Windows 10 will actually run really, really poorly. So make sure you get these updated, and then once all these are downloaded, we'll move to the next step. Okay, guys, so once the Windows updates is done, we want to go to Start and type in Services, and then we want to run Services, and we're just going to disable Windows Update, and that'll stop it from rebooting at night. So if we just type in Windows, go down to where it says Windows Update, we want to hit Stop on the service, and then we want to go to Properties and set the startup type to disabled, and then just click OK and close that window. So that will stop Windows 10 from restarting in the middle of the night, and basically it will allow your miner to keep running. If you have a look in the top right hand corner here, I've already got the miners installed. Now I use NanoPool as my pool. I've got the XMR CPU Claymore installed, so I'm going to run the miner. Okay, and then it's going to come up with our Windows firewall, so we're just going to allow access. Okay, and you can see here, guys, that our hash is about 190 hashes, 189, and this is in the Claymore Cryptonote CPU miner version 3.8, and it's starting to mine now. taking a look at how much wattage it uses. So it's using about 225 watts, and that's when the miner is actually running, so it's not a bad result. Okay guys, so that's pretty much it for me. I hope this was a helpful video. If it was helpful, please leave a thumbs up, don't forget to subscribe, and thanks for watching guys. Bye bye.